Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and we're on. Okay.
we're on. No, I think I've been really excited for this because well, I've talked a few times, but I don't know Instagram when it comes to other than what my wife posts on Instagram. And so like Antonia, well, I think the reason that really brought us together was really wanting to learn more and being open to learning more. Because I was curious to learn about Instagram and happy to share kind of what I do on LinkedIn. You do some LinkedIn as well, quite a bit. And so like, yeah, this
Uh,
is a good kind of meeting of the minds.
yeah, this is so much fun for me because I want to be better on LinkedIn, and I made a commitment to LinkedIn last July. Actually, it's almost been a year, and said, okay, I'm going to commit to posting. I'm going to be serious about the platform. I'm going to post every day. Oh, I don't remember if I did 5 or 7 days a week. I think I did 5. And so I started posting and I started engaging, and it's different platforms. So I wasn't quite sure if it works the same as Instagram, like who you engage with. And I'm still not quite entirely sure about that. I engage with people in my industry because they're the ones who know whether or not I know what I'm doing, and they can validate, yes, this is true. Yes, this is a good tip. Yes, this is, I like this stuff. Because what I found on Instagram is that my prospects, the people who turn up in my strategy calls, don't engage at all. They just stalk me silently, and they're looking at what my competitors and what my industry experts are saying about my content, and they're looking at the content, but they're not talking to me. So I don't. I do the same thing over at LinkedIn. I don't know if that's the way that you should proceed. So this will be really fun for me to hear more about that.
Hmm. Totally. No, when it comes, you've already taught me a lot in the interactions that we've had with what Instagram can, what the potential is, and what its ability is. So maybe we'll cover some of that too. I'm curious to kind of we can rehash some of that and also discover some new things. Introductions.
Yeah, who are we?
so
You go
so
first.
yeah, well, okay. Brief introduction myself. Tyson Knopf. I am a coach for coaches on LinkedIn. So I work with coaches, help them to generate business through LinkedIn. I've done that for the last 3 years with coaches, and then 3 years before that with mortgage brokers, helping connect them with realtors. I find coaches are just so much fun to work with. Also, is the path to profit was a lot faster with getting them clients versus getting them referral sources through realtors. So that's kind of what got me into this space. Was actually a friend of mine just referred me a coach he was working with who was struggling to get results on LinkedIn. We ended up getting him his first client in the first 2 months. And then I was like, okay, maybe there's something here. And then I started to market out to coaches actually. And that's kind of what got me into the market. A lot of what I do is direct outreach. So finding those people help, that are executives or senior leaders or people generally looking for a coach or consultant and starting the conversation, helping coaches to start that direct dialogue with them. And then kind of curating content to go out to them to help them to understand more of their coaching philosophies process so that if the timing is right then they come out. It's kind of like I call it like pressing the herd, rather than chasing people around, press the herd and then the people that are ready will kind of lag back. So yeah, that's kind of the approach I take, and that's a bit about myself. So yeah, Antonia, I turn the floor to you.
I really like how you do that because I take a little bit different approach with Instagram, a little bit different process, but I'm probably going to be using like either signing up for your program or using your services for LinkedIn because I've never approached my clients. I let them come to me, and I get, 70 leads a month. But you have to weed through them, figure out which ones are the right ones for you, for your brand, which people you really want to work with. Because when you can only take 3 to 5 clients a month, you have to be choosy about who you want to work with. So, and I'd love to work with more people that I find on LinkedIn. So how I got started was I was a college professor. I had been in B2B sales years before I met my husband and had my children. In fact, I was part of the groups of people who built the fiber optic network that we now use with our phones. And back then we were dreaming about bringing fiber to like small businesses. We could only do like colleges and hospitals, and we'd walk around and look for all the places we could lay fiber or dig up the ground or hang it from the telephone poles. And it was so much fun. And then I moved up here, like from that job. I worked for 3 different companies and became a mom. And I became a professor because I could work from home, well, not work from home. Well, I could too do that, but I could be working while my kids were at school. So I did that when they were hit grade school, and I taught all the way through their like high school years. And then when COVID hit, I had just started doing some consulting for businesses, like a couple realtors, helping them brand, like basic branding, marketing plans, business plans, just like basic business strategy, just to like help them create their business models. And COVID hit, and all the networking that I was doing in person went away. And I was like, uh-oh, I really don't want to teach at colleges anymore. I can't make any money. So I'm done with that. Well, I want to be done with that.
Mhm.
So I thought, well, okay, social media seems to be the future. I'm going to like figure out why some businesses do really well and why some don't. And so I dug into Instagram because it had the most data, and data is my background. So I started looking into the businesses that were getting an ROI or getting clients, or like their business was growing because of Instagram. And I looked at why that was. And it wasn't necessarily that they were attracting clients on the platform. They were using it as a tool to send people to. At least that's what it looked like. And so I thought, well, what if I did that? So I started building a community of my peers, people who came behind me and sharing what I knew, teaching them like these tips, this tip, this didn't work, that worked. Don't do this because it's going to wreck your account for months. You know, all the mistakes that I made, I was talking about. And I started building this community. And then people wanted to hire me to do engagement. And I did that. And what I learned was that you should never have anybody do your engagement, because that is where the relationships are. And so I like took that into consideration, thought, okay, so what about content? Content is just as important. If your content isn't valuable to the people you want to talk to, then engagement, you can engage all day long and nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to talk to you. Nobody's going to engage on your content. So then I started looking at like copywriting and design and learning those pieces and creating content of value with infographics and carousels. And then I started repurposing to reels. So I'd take a message and I repurpose it 3 ways so that you have that those 7 contact points that you need, like for people to be able to see what you do and how you do it. And so I started getting more DMs for people to hire me for like coaching. And so I started coaching people just one-offs for about a year, year and a half. And then about a year ago, I started creating the coaching program that has now evolved into the Crush Your Instagram coaching program. And I work with coaches because they are so much fun. I work with a lot of other different kinds of businesses, but coaches are my favorite. And you're right, they get the best results with social media if they do it right. So that's my story.
Oh, cool. That's like, I love your analytical approach to it too. It's like, okay, because a lot of people will get into a business and they'll be like, okay, we'll figure it out as we go. But like going to, okay, what's the data? Let's look at the raw data and figure out, where the quickest path is, right? And so that's
Yeah,
cool.
and I figured out that if you have content and you have an objective and a purpose, so you know what you want to get from that post. Do you want to build your brand awareness? So there are certain metrics you need to track to be able to build that. Do you want to build your email list? There's different metrics for that. You want to just attract people that might eventually want to buy it from you. There's different metrics for that. And then you have to decide, what are you going to give them? What's the purpose? Why should they care? So I have this saying that I've been telling everybody for years, and now I've been quoted as it's a Tonyism now. Tonyism. And the saying is with content, if you remember this one thing, you'll always do well with your content. At least you won't completely screw it up. And it's not about you. It's never about you, even when it's about you. If you remember that in everything you do and thinking of the person that you're talking to and what's in it for them, then you'll be okay.
Totally. Yeah. Let go of your own desires and let the rest
Yeah.
kind of flow.
Yeah. Be thinking about how you want to help. And that
Yeah.
really makes a difference. It just, even if it's not the perfect headline, even if it's not, even if your captions are terrible, if you're really, your heart is there with, I really, really want to share what I know. I really want to help someone. That attitude goes a long way. It really does.
Yeah, totally. When it comes
Yeah.
to Instagram, you told me one thing, and maybe let's kind of open this up again a bit more. Is
Yes.
the Instagram is set up where you kind of it's easy to curate all your content, because I always think of Instagram just like reel after reel after reel, but like no, you've got a space to curate it. Tell me a bit more about that.
It's got like the best of both worlds. because when you go to LinkedIn, you go to your homepage and you scroll, you see whatever people are doing. If I want to go to your page, I have to go down your page and scroll. And I can't really find, like, if you say, oh, I've got this really great post I made. It's a carousel about like LinkedIn numbers. Oh, I'm going to go find that. And I'm like, I don't know where it is. Scroll. I'm like, oh God, can you just send me the link? I can't find it. So the cool thing about Instagram is that you have that ability to scroll on your homepage. You also have the ability to scroll on the Reels page and the search page, right? This explore page. But on your profile page, your content is curated in a grid. Not only that, you have something called guides, which means you can take your content on any specific topic, which is on any specific problem that you solve, and put them into a guide. And you can send those guides to prospects when they have specific questions or problems. And it's curated content that you post 30, 40 posts, whatever you want to use. And so it's organized so that people can find information fast. And to me, that's really valuable because people don't want to scroll and look for things. They want to know, like, I have this problem with engagement, or I have this problem with content planning, and I don't know, like, I have questions on it. And I'm like, oh, here's a guide on this. Go through that, see if it answers your question. If it doesn't, shoot me a DM, and then we'll talk. And I'll see if I can make you another post on whatever your question is. So it's just a better way to present your business. I think it's a really good way to create a resume for your business and using it as a tool. I send all of my prospects there, prospects that I meet in real life networking events, and prospects that are from LinkedIn. I send them all to my Instagram and I say, go look there. If you have specific questions, let me know and I'll send you some guides. But everything's there, all the links. I can put links on my page, on my homepage, several different links. It's just so user-friendly for businesses to get information.
Love that. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, well, and what I thought, what thought we kind of shared is like bringing this together is like looking at Instagram, looking at LinkedIn. We found quickly in our early conversations, you and I, is that like there's a place for each of them, but it's also there's a lot of differences as well. And maybe if we could hash through some of that, like there's like even when I was like we kind of opened up the the hood of what I was doing and what you did, and we're like, oh yeah, this is different, that's different. Because a lot of the work that I do is the numbers we look at are like connection rates, the number of invites you're sending out, the number of messages you're doing, your response rates, your booking rates. Those are all the kind of things that we look at. On Instagram, it's a bit different though, right? Is it like, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't even know they had booking rates on LinkedIn. That's like how green I still am, because
Well,
a lot of these
booking is that's more of a Calendly thing, like how many people book into your calendar. So it's like,
yes. And those are kind of hard to track because you can track profile visits, but unless you're tracking, like I have my links, my Calendly link, all of my freebie links, all of those things go to my website. They're on a special page on my website, so I can track where they came from because I can't track them going the other direction. So yeah, you look at profile visits, because if you're getting profile visits from your post, that means your content is valuable enough that people want to know who you are. And then you look at, does it convert to followers, and or did they click your link? You can definitely track website clicks, so you can at least see, like, did they click on your link? Did they follow you? What was the behavior, or did they just like keep going? And you can only do that if you're tracking your numbers daily. So most people don't care, and that's fine. That's why they have me, because I can go through and I can kind of, I can't see everything post haste, but I can see a lot of it, and I can say, oh, this content was really good for attracting profile visits and getting new community members. This particular post made people click on your link, right? And then they say there's vanity metrics like likes and well, the comments are not ever, but it's not about one particular metric. It's several together that get you results. So you have to know which combinations that you're looking for to fulfill. If you're trying to grow your email list, you need likes, you need saves, shares are always good, profile visits, and of course, website clicks. So there's several that you're looking at. Oh, was this one grew my email list because it got shared a lot, because they really liked the personality. And then they went to my page, and then they went and clicked on the link. This one was really valuable and they saved it. And then they went to my profile visit and they clicked the link because they saw value in getting my free Instagram guide or whatever it is. So you kind of have to know what people are like, say why they're behaving the way they are. And and Instagram gives you so much data. I'm really frustrated with LinkedIn because there's not enough data for me to really track what's working. Where are people coming from? What are they doing? I see likes, I see comments, and that's pretty much it. So I'm like really lost with the data over there. I'm just kind of struggling. So
Mhm.
I'd love to know more about the data on LinkedIn and how you find it, and then of course which ones you use.
Yeah. So when it comes to like LinkedIn data, the key metrics we look for is your connection rate. So of how many invites that you send out, or how many people you engage, how many of them either accept that invite, or how many afterwards respond. So it's your connection response rate. There are the two main ones. What I find is, depending on your LinkedIn profile, will kind of fuel those numbers. So I find if your about section is really clear, if you're talking to your audience and you have the right audience you're talking to, like having your profile and audience kind of straightened out, then your connection rate, you should be having a connection rate, of 20% or higher. And then if you get the audience dialed in, you can be getting connection rates of 50% in some cases. But often I don't see connection rates exceed, 60 to 75% on LinkedIn. But those are the key metrics we look for on that. So if those numbers are low, then what I'm looking at is, their headline, their about section. What are the first things that people see when they look at their profile? Is it speaking to the audience, or is it just kind of like, here's my business card, this is what I'm all about? Or are you actually talking to your audience? Because a lot of people on LinkedIn don't quite do that. Is it they'll kind of talk about me, but then the you part's maybe a little bit down here, whereas you need to have that part almost first in a lot of ways, be able to talk to them. So yeah, if those numbers aren't jiving, then usually I go back to the profile. But beyond that, then afterwards, if you're, depending on your approach, um, I've actually, there's two camps when it comes to LinkedIn. One of my colleagues I was talking to recently was saying he uses it more of a funnel inflow. So it's like you connect with the person, you share something with them, they subscribe, and then you kind of bring them in through that channel. Mine is more connect with them, share content directly with them that's like curated for them. So it's like, if you're connecting with an audience of, men in the leadership space, or you're connecting with, people in one of the ones we're using is health and safety. Then we have a video that's like geared towards that in terms of that coach and what their background is working with people like that. What are the things that they're consistently seeing? And what are some quick step guides to, like, overcoming those common obstacles? We put that together, usually in like a 3, maybe 5 minutes tops video. And then we're reaching out to them. We're saying, hey, I see you're in the health and safety space. I used to work there actually before going into coaching. And then highlighting what you know about it. But then I actually put together a video recently on how to, anchor yourself in your role if you're new to role. And if that audience is a new audience, like new to role audience, then now it's like curated, would you be interested? But we don't send the video out. It's like, would you be interested in checking it out? And then, they can check out that video if they can, or they can respond back saying, yeah, send me the link, and then they check out the video. So it's kind of like giving them options but not forcing it down their throat, kind of thing. um, and then also coming from that stance of like creating that exchange too. So it's like, yeah, here's something that I found, might be useful to you. I really like what you're doing over here. Or if it's a post that they've done recently, kind of talking about what it is that they do. That's a lot of areas that coaches I work with focus on. So creating those exchange events, and then also having that curated content for that specific person versus just the general audience, is kind of, yeah, the approach that we take, kind of like a bit of a sniper approach versus kind of shotgun, I guess, in that way. Yeah.
It definitely works better, even on any platform, when you target a customer avatar, like a specific person you're talking to. Coaches, they know that you're talking to them. They know, especially if you are a coach yourself, or you've been in that position yourself, the pain points, and you can speak in their language, which I think a lot of people miss.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, in terms of tracking the numbers, you're right. LinkedIn isn't the greatest at that. You've got your views, you can see, who's viewing or what companies are from. But a lot of my tracking, I do that manually. So just, based off of, and the numbers I'm usually looking for is connection rate, response rate, booking rate, and then of the booking, how many of those bookings turn into clients. and then I can go, and then I can always go back and see, which, well, through your messaging, you can kind of see, okay, which approach did we take with that one, and then you can kind of replicate it. So it's a bit more grassroots. It's not, we're kind of having to make up for the lack of data that way. But I've been doing it a while now, so we kind of have it streamlined. And so, but you do need to have those numbers to know if you're doing well. Like, okay, well, if we're not getting a good, response rate, then what's our connection rate looking like? Okay, if the connection rate's good, but the response rate's not good, then there's something in our messaging or in the profile we need to change. And so then we just split test that and then figure out, okay, this is what's working, this is what's not working, kind of thing.
Oh, it's a good way to approach it. I find that on LinkedIn, I don't get the engagement anywhere near the engagement that I get on Instagram. And it could be because my community is so much smaller. It's like almost 3,500, which is a long way from the almost 20,000 followers I have on Instagram. And they're engaged. So it took me a long time to build that community because it's all organic. And it was, I went through all of the pain and made all of the mistakes along the way. And that's why I've been able to package up all the mistakes, all the things that you need to do right and avoid the mistakes to make it easier for my clients. They just get this package, which is, here it is. It's on a silver platter for you with all of the templates you need. And I'm going to personalize it and give you the feedback that you need to do it easily and quickly, and get results, because it's a long process. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We've heard that, and it's very true. You cannot get quick results on any of the platforms, as far as I know. You can get viral posts. I've had a couple posts go viral, and I found that it didn't do anything for my business. So I really focus on creating content that never goes viral, because if the right people are reading it, as long as I look at my mix of what my reach is and I can see that it's reaching non-followers, I'm getting more and more non-followers with that content. That means I'm reaching new people that will see that content and come back and check me out. So for me, my reach is not about the number so far, as much as the mix of people that are seeing my content. Is it getting shared? Is it getting saved? Is it getting on the explore page? Is it on the top hashtag pages? So all of those are factoring in to getting reach and having new people see your content. And I'm always creating content for strangers. I don't create content for my community because my community already knows all this stuff. So I'm reaching the people that I need to reach that need my help. So it's different.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, and I'll have to explore that more with you, because it's you kind of, a lot of people go with like a one size fits all, but really you need to have an audience to start with, and there's a certain strategy to build that audience, and then once you have that audience, there's another strategy to be able to cultivate opportunities out of that audience. And a lot of people, sometimes you can go into thinking, oh, I'm just gonna do this thing and it'll work all the way through. Well, no, you do have to change your strategy as you grow, sort of thing, right?
Exactly. Your strategy every step of the way.
Yeah.
You're talking to, because you get a few clients, right? You start to work with different types of people. You start to feel like, oh, I like this kind of business better than that kind of business, so I'm going to talk to them more. And you start to shape your account, and then you start branding it. Once you have that audience defined, once you know who you want to work with, then you create a brand strategy for the platform specifically that attracts those specific people. Like my brand is, my brand, it's really bold and it's really direct, and I value knowledge, and I value credibility, and I value consistency, and being reliable. And my brand reflects those things. And it also will repel people who are very timid, who get their feelings hurt, who don't like feedback, honestly. So the people that come and talk to me, they're like, okay, I'm ready. Let's get this going. Like, don't step on eggshells for me. Just let's do it right. Let's get it going so I can get results. So you brand based upon the people that you want to attract. And it's really fun to do that on that platform, because your whole page, your highlights, your picture, your brand colors in your content, your fonts, they all say something. And when you put them all together based upon your brand values, your brand personality, and the emotions you want to evoke, it is magic. And you can only do that on Instagram. I just love it.
I love it too, because I learned something new before we had this, because you're showing me your renovation you're doing in your office. And I said
Yeah.
pink and purple. That is not pink and purple, just like in your background. I learned today it's indigo and magenta.
Very good.
Okay. See,
Yes,
and
it's
these are
interesting.
things that are good, you miss sometimes. I love that.
And what's really funny is when I'm out in the real world, I wear my brand colors because I want to be noticed. I want to be known in Seattle as the person to go to create effective social media easily and to be known in your space, in your industry as that go-to person, as that authority. So that's the kind of thing I do. And I want to be known for that. So brand colors stand out. And somebody said to me recently, actually a couple of times, "Oh, it's so good. You look good in pink." And I'm like, "Yeah, did you know that I hate pink?" And they're like, "What? Why do you wear pink?" I'm like, "Because magenta is a strategic brand color for me. And it's based on being kind of a little bit of a rebel rouser, questioning authority, lots of excitement, lots of energy. And then the indigo is chosen to for other characteristics like that brand credibility and that dependability and that knowledge and wisdom that I have because of my age and my experience. So they're put together in a little package that's like
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, finding that meaning in what you do and sharing it. I love that because sometimes you just have your head down so long in terms of what you're doing, and then you forget about like, okay, well, let's go back to the perceptions here. How are people looking at this? Is it digestible? Is it easy to recognize that sort of thing? Yeah.
digestible is such a good word because people it's not that they have short attention spans. I get irritated when I hear that because people are smart, especially these days, but they don't have time to try to figure out what you're trying to tell them. So you have to make it 5 to 8 words, and it has to have a powerful adjective in there to be able to get that like attention. Do you to have them say, "Oh, that looks interesting. I need to click on that. I need to see more. Tell me more." That's the whole goal on Instagram, to get them to say, "Tell me more." And then when you get them to your page, then you have this giant page of all this authority and all of this really helpful content that makes them say, "Oh, I need to follow, or I need to save a lot of this." A lot of my prospects will follow me and not engage, or they might not even follow me, but they'll save my content and then they'll turn up in a strategy call, and I'll be like, I have them list the Instagram name on this sheet beforehand, and I won't recognize it. It looks like a bot, and say, "I don't like recognize you from the community." They're like, "Oh, I'm not following you. That's my stalking account, so that nobody will bother me." I'm like, "That's pretty smart." So it's like a tip: never delete followers because you don't know who they are, who's behind the account. It might look like a bot, but it's a person maybe. You
Yeah.
just never know.
Interesting. Very cool. Yeah. No, there's so much we can hash out in this. I mean, we have to do another segment. We'll see. Um,
Yeah.
in terms of because we got getting down to the nitty gritty when it comes to Instagram and LinkedIn. How does it um, cover that? We'll have to cover that at some point again here too. And we'll see what people say too. If they have questions and they're like, "Oh yeah, what's the difference?" I wish you said that. Then by all means, let us know in the comments or whatever to thoughts that you had or comparisons. We're happy to draw those out too. That'd be cool.
Yeah, tell us your thoughts on in your experiences with both platforms,
Yeah.
because some people, I mean, I drive all of my LinkedIn um, community members and prospects to my Instagram.
Mhm.
And then when they come back, they're like, "Oh, you really do know what you're talking about."
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Well, and yeah, because and because I've used my LinkedIn more for direct. I find with LinkedIn you don't get as many bookings, but I find the bookings are really good. Like I'm not having to filter through people. But
Mhm.
on the other hand, I do see the need for me to like work on, okay, what I should start building an Instagram so I can kind of curate some of that content there and give them multiple platforms because everyone looks at it differently, right? So like from in my mind, I'm like Instagram, yeah, there's lots of reels and stuff, but then other coaches may look at it completely differently than I do. So I do have, yeah, you do have to kind of keep an open mind and give people options, right?
Yeah, it's good to have a place where if somebody's considering buying from you, because most people do go to Instagram to check people out before they buy from them, whether it's a product or a service. And when you have a page that is curated in a way that has social proof, there's your previous clients that have like content on there that you've been able to share, when you have your peers and your competitors validating your knowledge and your skills, and then the content itself is helpful and useful and relevant to their problems, it's just it's kind of a no-brainer to have that, like that portfolio, that visual portfolio. And that's what I use it as. I do engage on there, but most of my I do have a lot of leads that come in from Instagram, of course, but I don't necessarily have a product for them because my coaching program isn't $10, right? And there's a lot of new creators that, of course, want coaching, but they don't have the budget at the stage of their, so I'm like, oh, here's some free content on that. That's why I have all this really good free content. And I'm thinking about creating just a course that I can put out for those people. But my coaching program is personalized, and it's feedback and it's direction. So most of my clients come from in real life, the ones that I work with, and or LinkedIn.
Yeah, interesting. Very cool. Yeah. It's there's a ton of strategies out there. I hope everyone that's watched this today gets a chance to kind of see the contrast, see the comparison, and come up with thoughts and questions. If you have questions, by all means reach out to Antonia, and same thing for myself. I like collaborations like this where we just kind of just talk shop and figure out, what do you do, what do I do, and what can we gain from this. So I've learned lots. I'm probably gonna have to pick your brain more on the Instagram side. So
I'll pick yours on the other side for sure. Oh, and I just thought of something else.
yeah.
People that are on Clubhouse, this was a big deal. I was getting clients from Clubhouse a lot when I was on Clubhouse, because for the longest time, Clubhouse didn't have like a place to go. The only place you could link to would be your Instagram. So people that wanted to like prove that they knew what they were talking about, like to show that in a visual format, would use Instagram. So I was not recruiting, but people were coming to me from Clubhouse because they said, can you help me create this thing that you have, so that when people on my Clubhouse channel come down to and check me out, that I'll get the same results of that, like proof that, oh, okay, they know what they're talking about. I'm going to talk to them about hiring them. So it was like kind of an interesting thing, but I think maybe Clubhouse is different now. I don't know, because I'm rarely on it.
Yeah. I never got into Clubhouse, but it was doing really well there for a while.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, totally. Interesting. Cool. All right. Well, if you have anyone has questions, flip us a DM. I'll put your link in mine, and we'll share that out. I love the ideas. Looking forward to the comments, and we'll talk to you soon, Antonia.
Sounds great.
Take care.
Bye.